Hi Hussein, welcome to the live. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Hussein in the chat, drop your name. Hello Shivam, welcome to the live. And next name is Jayoti Kumar. Thank you so much, Jayoti Kumar, for joining in the live. Have a nice day to you. Thank you so much. And here next name is Bella in the chat. Hi Bella, how are you? Thank you Bella for joining in the live. And next name I see, here we go. Next name is, hi Jonah, how are you? Thank you Jonah for joining in the live. Next name is, hi Aisha, how are you Aisha? Thank you Aisha for joining in the live. Next name is, I see, here is, I am in the chat. Thank you, I am. Have a great day. Thank you so much. And here is Surya in the chat. Hi, Surya. Thank you, Surya, for joining in the live. Next name is, I see, Hassan in the chat. Hi, Hassan. Thank you, Hassan, for joining in the live. And next name is Yakja in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Chaloy. How are you? Thank you, Chaloy, for joining in the live. And next name is, I see here, next name is Brianna. How are you, Brianna? Thank you, Brianna, for joining in the live. Have a great day. And here is Daya in the chat. Hi, Daya. Thank you, Daya, for joining in the live. Next name is Sanu. Sanu in the chat. Hi, Sanu. How are you? And next name I see here is, hi, Niku. How are you? Thank you, Niku, for joining in the live. And here is Alison in the chat. Hi, Alison. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And here is Jeffrey. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Thank you. And next name is, I see here, next name is, hi, Kimmy. How are you? Welcome to the live, Kimmy. And here I see, and Rahul Rani. There you go. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And here next name is, I see Mayank in the chat. Hi, Mayank. How are you? And here is Butcher in the chat. Hi, Butcher. How are you? The next name is Filza in the chat. Hi, Filza. How are you, Filza? Thank you, Filza, for joining in the live. And here is Ariel in the chat. Hello. How are you? Thank you so much. Next name is Naila. Join the live. Hi, Naila. Thank you so much, Naila, for joining in the live. And here next name is Young Cha and Sky. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And next I see Anas. Hi, Anas. Thank you so much, Anas, for joining in the live. Next name is Julia. How are you, Julia? Thank you, Julia, for joining in the live. And here is Habib. Join the live. Hi, Habib. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And here is Ali. How are you, Ali? Thank you, Ali, for joining in the live. And here is Jack. Hello. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here is Mouse in the chat. Hi, Mouse. Thank you so much for joining the live. Have a great, lovely day. Here is Isa. Join the live. Hi, Isa. Thank you so much. And next name is Arushi. How are you, Arushi? Thank you so much, Arushi. And here is Barbara in the chat. Welcome to the live. Thank you so much. And here is Sirlaya in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. And I see here is Aria. I wrote your name. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you, thank you. And here next name I see here is Leona. How are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. And next name is Sahil. How are you, Sahil? Thank you, Sahil, for joining in the live. And here we go. Next name is Hi Neil Kanwar. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And next name is Abdullah. How are you, Abdullah? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great, lovely day to you. And your next name is Blue FL4MEZ. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here is Sanskriti. Hi, Sanskriti. How are you? Thank you, Sanskriti, for joining in the live. And here next name is Ram in the chat. Hello, how are you? And next name is Arya. How are you, Arya? Thank you so much, Arya. Next name is Niku in the chat. Hi, Niku. How are you? And here next name is Vipul Lilo. How are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day. Have a great day. And here is Devika. Thank you, Devika, for joining in the live. Have a nice day, Devika. And next name is Kainat in the chat. Hi, Kainat. Thank you so much, Kainat, for joining in the live. Here is Ariella. How are you, Ariella? And next name is Laura. Thank you, Laura, for joining in the live. Have a great day. And here is Urwa join the live. Hi, Urwa. How are you? Thank you so much. Okay, next name is Talia in the chat. Hi, Talia. How are you? Thank you, Talia, for joining in the live. And next name is Hi, Ola. How are you? Thank you, Ola, for joining in the live. You're welcome. And here is Hi, Huda. How are you, Huda? Thank you so much, Huda, for joining in the live. Simon joined the live. Hello, Simon. How are you? And next name is Sunny. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And here is Larry joined the live. Hello, Larry. How are you? And here is next name is Gopar in the chat. Thank you so much. Goer, I can Goer in the chat. Next name is Hi Jazzy. How are you, Jazzy? Thank you, Jazzy, for joining the live. Next name is Minos. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here I see Hyunjin join the live. Hello, Hyunjin. How are you? Thank you so much. And here is next name is Aruhi. How are you, Aruhi? Thank you, Aruhi, for joining the live. Next name is Mehdi. And next name is Zurna in the chat. Hi Zurna, how are you Zurna? Thank you Zurna for joining in the live. Next name is Sky plus Ariana. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a lovely day to you. Hi Zara. How are you, Zara? Thank you, Zara, for joining in the live. Next name is Moonrichi. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a lovely day. Isma joined the live. Hi Isma, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Here is our Bilki in the chat. Hello, welcome to the live. Thank you so much. The next name is Mantasha. I wrote your name. Here I'm writing it again. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here I see Jamila, how are you, Jamila? Thank you so much, Jamila, for joining in the live. And here is Jay in the chat. Hi, Jay. Thank you so much. Next name is Lisa. How are you, Lisa? Thank you, Lisa, for joining in the live. And here is I see Rahul joined the live. Hi Rahul, how are you? And here is Falak joined the live. Hi Falak, how are you Falak? Thank you so much Falak for joining in the live. And next name I see Nafisa. How are you Nafisa? Thank you Nafisa. And here is Abdul Rizak in the chat. Hello Abdul Rizak. Thank you for joining in the live. Please like the live. Abdul Rizak, like the live. Kahi. Thank you for joining in the live. Have a great day. Ariane. How are you Ariane? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Mariam. Join the live. Hi Mariam, how are you Mariam? And here is the next name is Brooklyn. Thank you Brooklyn for joining in the live. Have a great day to you Brooklyn. And here is Ahad. I live in the chat. Thank you for joining in the live. Have a great day. And here I see next name is okay. Here next name is Nipa. Join the live. Hi Nipa, how are you? And here is Leah Huda in the chat. Welcome to the live. Thank you so much. And here is Olivia in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. And I see here is next name is Baharami in the chat. Hello, thank you so much for joining in the live. And next name is Noor in the chat. Hi Noor. Next name is Mariam in the chat. Thank you so much Mariam for joining in the live. And here I see Laiba join the live. Hi Laiba, how are you Laiba? Thank you Laiba for joining in the live. And here is Juhan in the chat. Hi Juhan, how are you? And here is Focus in the chat. Thank you for joining in the live. Have a great day. And here is Lela. Join the live. Hi Lela. How are you? And here is Antonia. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Hi, hello everyone. Tap tap on the screen. Hit the 40 likes, everyone. 40 likes. Inaya. How are you, Inaya? Thank you, Inaya, for joining in the live. And here is Viana. How are you, Viana? Thank you, Viana. Next name is Manon in the chat. Hi, Manon. How are you? Next name is Hello, Tia. How are you? Thank you so much, Tia, for joining in the live. And next name is, I see here is Anaya in the chat. And here is Olivia. How are you, Olivia? And here is, I see Kimmy in the chat. Hi, Kimmy. How are you? And here is David in the chat. Hi, David. Thank you so much, David, for joining in the live. Next name is Jonas in the chat. Hi, hello, how are you? And here next name is Dinah. Join the live. Thank you, Dinah, for joining in the live. Next name is Zohra in the chat. Hi, Zohra. And here I see Jack. How are you, Jack? Thank you so much, Jack, for joining in the live. And here I see next name is Nawari in the chat. Hi, Nawari. How are you? Thank you so much. Cole in the chat. Hello, Cole. How? Okay, Cole also post. Post in the chat. Hi, Fahad. How are you? Thank you, Fahad, for joining in the live. Okay, thank you, Fahad. Have a great, lovely day to you. And here is Zarina. How are you, Zarina? Thank you, Zarina. Next name is Navya in the chat. Hi, Navya. And here is Karan. Join the live. Hi, Karan. How are you? And here is Nadine. Welcome back to the live. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to you, Yunchai. Wish you a very happy birthday to you. Thank you so much. And here I see next name is Maliha in the chat. Hi Maliha, how are you? And next name is Lira in the chat. Hello Lira, how are you? And here is Cecil. Thank you so much. Have a great day to you. Have a great day. And here is, I see Arush. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here I see Haram Fatma in the chat. Hello, I'm Fatma. Thank you for joining in the live. And next name is Duru in the chat. Hello, how are you? Hi, Lena. Hi, how are you? Thank you, Lena, for joining in the live. And next name is, I see here is Mahi in the chat. Hi, Mahi. How are you, Mahi? And here I see Adin in the chat. Hello, Adin. And next name is Touristics in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining the live. And next name is Mafaz in the chat. Hello, Mafaz, how are you? And here is Mehroj. Thank you so much. Have a great, lovely day to you. Next name is Yan in the chat. Hi, Yan. And here is Arsalan in the chat. Hi, Arsalan. How are you? And I see Nid in the chat. Thank you so much, Nid. And next name is Madeline in the chat. Hello, how are you, Madeline? Thank you so much. Thank you for 50 likes, 200 likes, everyone. Hello, Amir. How are you, Amir? And next name is Sonia in the chat. Hi, Sonia. How are you? Thank you so much. And here is Ajay in the chat. Hi, Ajay. How are you? Here is your sister named Madison. Thank you, Madison. Next name is Karma in the chat. Next name is Kendall in the chat. Hi, Kendall. How are you? And here is Isleen in the chat. Hi, Isleen. How are you? Thank you so much. Hi, Imona. How are you, Imona? Thank you, Imona, for joining in the live. And here is Abir in the chat. Hello, Abir. How are you? And here is Rihan in the chat. Hi, Rihan. How are you, Rihan? And here is, I see, hi, hello, Kiwi. And here is Tia in the chat. Hi, Tia, welcome to the live. And here is Awa, join the live. Hi, Awa. And here is next name is Hey. Someone is saying hey, hey. Thank you so much. And here is LOT in the chat. Hello, LOT. How are you? Thank you so much. Next name is Kimin in the chat. Hi, Kimin. How are you? And here is Nova. Join the line. Hi, Noah. Okay, your brother name is Rian in the chat. Hi, Rian. How are you? And here is Ella. Join the line. Hello, Ella. How are you? Okay, next name is Sohan. Hello, Sohan. How are you, Sohan? And next name is Jasmine in the chat. Thank you so much. Jasmine. Thank you for joining in the live. Jasmine in the chat. Hi, Jasmine. Next name is Paul in the chat. Hi, Awa. How are you, Awa? Next name is Abiha in the chat. Hello, Abiha. How are you? And what you write, I do not understand. Could you please drop your name in English? Here's Abiha in the chat. Hi, Abiha. Hi, Ina. How are you, Ina? And here is next name is Sammy. How are you, Sammy? And next name is Hi, Yuna. How are you? Thank you so much, Yuna. Next name is Hisam in the chat. Hello, Hisam. How are you? Thank you so much. Hi, Kaina. Thank you for subscribing and have a lovely day to you. Okay, here is Abagir. Abagir. Thank you so much. Okay, next name I see here is my sin in the chat. Hi, my sin. How are you? Next name is Jasmine in the chat. Hi, Jasmine. Next name is Myri in the chat. Hello, Myri. How are you? Taiko in the chat. Hello, Taiko. How are you? And here is Suzel in the chat. Hi, Suzel. How are you? And here is Laura Raj in the chat. Hi, Laura Raj. How are you? And here is okay, Madison. I'm sorry, Madeline. Thank you so much for being in the live. Thank you so much. Here you go. Your name is here. Thank you so much. Okay, next name is Laura Raj in the chat. Hello, Laura Raj. How are you? Thank you, Laura Raj. And here is Hume in the chat. Hi, Hume. How are you? Here is Akila in the chat. Hi, Akila. How are you? Next name is Megan in the chat. Hi, Megan. And here is Hamad in the chat. Hello, Hamad. Welcome to the live. And here I see Farish. Okay, for next name, Krishna Hima. I think so, Krishna Hima in the chat. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Omkar in the chat. Hello, Omkar. How are you? And next name is, I see here is Rubia in the chat. Hi, Rubia. How are you, Rubia? And here next name is Yelda in the chat. Hi Yelda, how are you? Next name is Hello Estella. Here you go. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Here is Aradhya in the chat. Hi Aradhya. How are you? Thank you so much, Aradhya. And here is okay Yoda in the chat. Hello Yoda, how are you? And here next name is MMG in the chat. Thank you for joining in the live. Next name is Kia in the chat. Hello, welcome to the live. And here next name is Hi Raja, how are you? Thank you so much Raja for joining in the live. Next name is I see here is Salaman Trijo. Thank you for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. And here is Franchi. Thank you so much, Franchi, for joining in the live. Have a great day to you. Okay, next name I see here is Kunal joined the live. Hi Kunal, how are you? Next name is here is Hannah in the chat. Thank you so much. And here is I see Iftikhar in the chat. Hello Iftikhar, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. And here is Debbie in the chat. Hi Debbie, how are you? And next name is Melina. How are you, Melina? Thank you so much, Melina, for joining in the live. Next name is Zuko in the chat. Hi, Zuko. And here is Zoe in the chat. Hi, Zoe. How are you, Zoe? And here is Roshni join the live. Hi, Roshni. How are you? And here is Metu in the chat. Hi, Metu. How are you? And here is Harma in the chat. Hi Harma, how are you Harma? And next name is Ankush in the chat. Hi Ankush. Thank you so much Ankush. Next name is Espella. I wrote your name. Next name is Alina. How are you Alina? Next name is Disha in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much. And here is Dean in the chat. Hello, welcome to the live. And I see here is Rifki in the chat. Hi Rifki, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Rimas in the chat. Hello, Rimas. How are you? Next name is Kaifa in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much. Okay, next name is Rosaline in the chat. Hello, Rosaline, how are you? Thank you so much for joining the live. Hit the 100 likes, everyone. Hi, Kevin. Jonathan, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Tap tap on the screen, tap tap on the screen, hit the 100 likes. Hi, Dee, how are you? Thank you so much. My next name is Orange, Aloy, and Allison. Please like the live. Next name is Soniska, and next name is Zaina in the chat. Hello, Zaina, how are you? Next name is Honey in the chat. Hi, Honey, how are you? And next name is Shanzay in the chat. Hi, Shanzay, how are you? And next name is Giona. How are you, Giona? Thank you, Giona, for joining in the live. And next name is Finson in the chat. Hello, Finson. How are you? Raja Kumari in the chat. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the live. Next name is Fabio in the chat. Hello, Fabio. How are you? Next name is Aisha. Join the live. Hello, Aisha. Hit the 100 likes, everyone. 100 likes. Sima in the chat. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Amara. How are you, Amara? Please like the live, Amara. Hit the 100 likes, everyone. 100 likes. Okay, next name is Silla in the chat. Hi, Silla. How are you? Like the live, Silla. Ronaldo, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Okay, here is Roman in the chat. Her next name is Camel Camelia in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Gulsi in the chat. Thank you for joining the live. Have a great day to you. And next name is Zara. Join the live. Hello, Zara. How are you? And here is Ibra. Join the live. Hi, Ibra. How are you? Next name is here is Isla. Hi, Isla. How are you? Tap on the screen like the live Isla. And here is Benita in the chat. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the live. And next name is Kokanika in the chat. Welcome to the live. And here is Lavanya. How are you, Lavanya? Thank you, Lavanya. Next name. Hi, Dia. How are you, Dia? And here I see Sonia in the chat. Hello, Sonia. How are you, Sonia? Okay, next name is Yaya. Join the live. Hello, Yaya. How are you? Thank you, Yaya, for joining the live. Thank you, Sonia, for joining in the live. And thank you, Wasim, for being in the live. Thank you so much. Tap on the screen, everyone. Like the live. Here is Hania and Tayeba in the chat. Next name is Sanya in the chat. Hello, how are you? And here, next name is Lucia in the chat. Hello, welcome to the live. Thank you so much for joining the live. And here, next name is Dua in the chat. Hello, Dua. How are you? And here is Anil in the chat. Hi, Anil. And here is Fatima. Thank you so much for joining in the live. And next name is Erhan. Papa in the chat. Next name is Diva in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining in the live. Next name is Fatima. Join the live. Hello, how are you? Hit the 100 likes, everyone. Hit the 100 likes. Thank you so much. Hit the 100 likes. And here is Lakshmi in the chat. Hello, Lakshmi. How are you? Next name is, I see here is Messi in the chat. Hello, Messi. How are you, Messi? And here is Kavya. Naveen in the chat. Hi, Kavya, Naveen. How are you? And here is Clarissa in the chat. Hello, welcome to the live. Thank you so much. And welcome back, Nadine. Thank you so much for joining in the live. Hi, Calicia, and here is Elodie in the chat. Hello, Elodie, how are you? Thank you so much. And here is BTS in the chat. Hello, BTS, how are you? Sylvia in the chat. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much. Two more likes remaining. Hit the 100 likes, everyone. Two more likes remaining. Do the 100 likes, everyone. Thank you, Lord, and welcome back to the live. Next name is Mushroom. And here we go. Next name is Chili in the chat. Hi, Chili. How are you? Next name is Lania in the chat. Hello. How are you? Our name is John, and here is Kelly in the chat. Hello, Kelly, and here is next name is Zion in the chat. Hello, Zion, how are you? And next name is Purnima in the chat. Hello, Purnima, how are you? Yuris, okay, Yuris. Here you go. Your name is done. Thank you so much and welcome back to the live. Thank you. Hit the 100 likes. Hit the 100 likes. One more likes remaining. Hello, Emily. How are you? Next name is Felix in the chat. Hello, Felix. How are you? And here is Dia in the chat. Hi, Dia. How are you, Dia? And here is Awa in the chat. Hello, thank you so much. Have a great day. Okay, Eva. Thank you so much, Eva. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. And next name is Lino in the chat. Thank you for joining in the live. And here is Ira Allen in the chat. Hello, Ira Allen. Thank you so much for joining the live. And here is Paula in the chat. Thank you so much. Okay. Next name is Ansh in the chat. Okay, everyone, I'm taking last 5 names. Then I will end the live. Here I'm starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 and 1. The last name is Abhinav. I think Abhinav in the chat. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. See you in the next one at 5:30 p.m. GMT. Thank you, everyone. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining in the live. Bye, everyone.